week 15 of the fantasy baseball season. Here's a few prospects I will watch this week. The first prospect, Joshua Baez of the St. Louis Cardinals. Baez, he's tearing it up in AAA right now for this Cardinal team with a monster season. 26 home runs, 66 RBIs, 13 stolen bases, 58 runs scored, a 262 average, and a 328 on-base percentage with a 923 OPS. So like I said, Baez, he's been a power hitter all season long down there in AAA for the St. Louis Cardinal team, even though his average is taking a hit over the last couple weeks, going down to 262. And also as well, that strikeout rate isn't great, 99 strikeouts and 294 at-bats. So they want to work on him cutting down on his swing a little bit with 2 strikes, where he's not just swinging for the fences all the time as Baez. Where last season, in 117 games, he only hit 20 home runs, so he's on a power tear. This Cardinal team, obviously, they're trying to make a run in the wild card or try to catch up in the division in the Central. And I think Baez, just a matter of time, he's going to be up. Like I said, if he could cut down on the strikeouts a little bit more and draw some more walks, where he's only had 22 walks on the season and 294 at-bats, he'll be up sooner than later for this Cardinal team. But like I said, he could do a little bit of everything. 5-tool type of player, 20 homers last year, 54 stolen bases, and he's got the 13 bags this year, so he could come up to the major leagues and right away, I think next season, be a 2020 guy. But I think with them trying to make a push, obviously, is this Cardinal team to make the playoffs. He'll be up sooner than later. Number 50 prospect in all Major League Baseball, number 3 prospect in this Cardinal system, and he's out there still in tons of fantasy leagues in 82%, so he'll bring power and stolen bases once he comes up. Next prospect, Condon of the Colorado Rockies. Last week I mentioned Condon on the list, and once again he's back on it. And this Rocky team, we know they're going nowhere this season. They could use a guy to come up, give them some energy in the second half of the season. And Condon in AAA, 18 home runs, 56 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 69 runs scored, a 286 average, a 414 on base, and a 994 OPS. He could play first in outfield. This is the right-handed power hitter in Charlie Condon. And like I said, this Rocky team, they're down one of the worst teams in the National League once again. And he's the number 2 prospect in the system, so they might as well call him up and see what he has, obviously. And he's already, Condon, 23 years old, 6'5", 216, a big kid. So like I said, he could bring pop, versatile first in outfield out there in tons of fantasy leagues, and 93%. And especially hitting in Coors Field, where we know that ball really carries out with the thin air over there. So like I said, Charlie Condon, he should have been up already most likely for this Rocky team, where after the first month and a half, you know they weren't going to go anywhere this season, and definitely be someone that can help this Rocky team and fantasy owners and see what they got with him for the future. Next hitter, George Lombard Jr. of the New York Yankees. Lombard, we've heard him for a few seasons now down there for the New York Yankees in the minor leagues. He's their number 1 prospect, number 21 prospect overall in Major League Baseball. And Lombard, where he's been between AA and AAA this season, so he's got to get a little bit better in AAA. He's in AAA this year, 4 home runs, 15 RBIs, 8 stolen bases, 30 runs scored, a 231 average, a 381 on base, 766 OPS. So he's definitely struggling a little bit as Lombard in AAA. But this Yankee team, they're in a swoon right now, where it seems like every June, the last 4 or 5 years, they struggle and they lose a decent amount of games in a row. And it doesn't help that Aaron Judge is out of the lineup. So maybe this New York Yankee team does need a spark, obviously, in the lineup, even though, like I said, Lombard's struggling, but Jose Caballero, he's cooled off. Anthony Volpe, we know how the fans feel, and he's definitely underperformed over the last few seasons and making errors at shortstop. So Lombard, I think he could come up sooner than later for this Yankee team, even though he's projected to come up next season. They're going to need some help, and he's versatile as well, where it just doesn't have to be shortstop. He could play some second base and even third if you need him to. So with those factors, even though he's not playing great of late, especially in AAA since he got called up there, I still think Lombard, there's a possibility he could be up this season, especially if the Yankees don't make a deal at the deadline within the next month, where the deadline's at the end of July here. And also, if Caballero and Volpe continue to struggle. So Lombard, definitely a hitter to keep on the radar and a prospect to watch. And like I said, he's their number 1 prospect in the system, 21 in Major League Baseball. and he's out there in tons of fantasy leagues in 96%. Next prospect, Carson Milbrandt of the Miami Marlins. So Robbie Snelling, he made one start in the major leagues. When he got the call, he went down. Thomas White, the top pitching prospect in the system in AAA. He's been out since May 14th with a shoulder injury. And now Carson Milbrandt, he got called up to AAA a few weeks ago, and he's pitching good baseball. So Milbrandt, the number 78 prospect overall Major League Baseball, and the number 4 prospect in this Marlins system. And like I said, Milbrandt quickly moving up. He wasn't even in the top 100 to begin the season, and then the second update, he was just made the top 100, and now in the third update of the season of the Major League of the prospect rankings, he's 78th overall so far since he got to AAA. 4 games started, 0-0 record, 2.33 ERA in 19 and a third, 19 Ks, 1.40 whip. So the problem has been walks for him in AAA, where in AA before he went to AAA, he had 47 innings with 17 walks, where already in AAA, 19 and a third with 17 walks. And that's why I don't think we've seen him yet, even though it's only been 4 starts for Milbrandt in AAA for this Marlins team. And with Tyler Phillips and Ryan Gusto in the back end of the rotation, and Yuri Perez, surprisingly, he came back sooner than later. But still, I think we could see a Sandy Alcantara deal at the deadline from this Miami Marlins team. And also, Tyler Phillips, I don't know how much longer he's going to hold up in the rotation, even though he's definitely stretched out, and he actually went 7 and a third in his last outing. But like I said, this Marlins team within the next month, they're most likely going to sell at the deadline if they fall out of it, even though that National League wild card isn't that strong, and there's a bunch of teams within a few games to get one of those final spots. But Milbrandt, he's quickly jumping up the system over here for this Miami Marlins team, and if he gets his walks under control, it wouldn't be surprising to me if he's up within the next month, especially if they deal some of their pitching, and he's out there in tons of fantasy leagues in 97%. And the final prospect, Zach Thornton of the New York Mets. He had a cup of coffee in the major leagues. This New York Mets team, it's going to be a fire sale at the deadline, where they're 14 games under 500 and way out of it now, unless they go on some crazy run, but I just don't see it. Zach Thornton, the number 13 prospect overall in this New York Mets system, out there in 99% of fantasy leagues. And we saw already the Mets trade David Peterson last week. Clay Holmes, he's trying to come back. He's starting to throw off the mound, even though it's going to be a while for him. And they're still going with an opener, even though Kodai Senga in their last opener game, he pitched 5 innings out of the bullpen. But he's another guy as well that the Mets are going to try to unload at the deadline. Even a guy maybe like Sean Manaea, if they could get off his contract. So there's going to be a lot of moving parts over there for the New York Mets. Like I said, they got to go on some run now in the next 2 weeks, or they're definitely going to be big time sellers, which is the most likely situation. And Zach Thornton, I think he should get a chance regardless if they sell or not, unless obviously they bring in some big starting pitching. But they're definitely a selling team. And in 2 starts this season for Thornton, 10 and a third, 0-1 record, 10 Ks, a 4.35 ERA, 1.16 whip, and a quality start. But he went out there last weekend, Zach Thornton, and he pitched a gem in that ball game versus the Philadelphia Phillies, going 6 innings, 7 K, and in my opinion, he's already ahead of Jonah Tung as the next call-up, where Tung's definitely struggled, and he's moved down the rankings in AAA. And also, even Jack Weninger, who was off to a good start in AAA, he struggled. So like I said, Thornton this season, he's not pitched great in AAA, but it's a little tougher over there in Syracuse for whatever reason. 1-3 record, 4.80 ERA in 6 games started, 30 innings, 29 Ks, and a 1.50 whip. So like I said, he would be the next pitcher up for this New York Mets team. So that's a few prospects I would watch for Week 15 of the fantasy baseball season.